It's been a very tiring 2 weeks, but we're finally back with 4 Nights of the Apocalypse with the start of part 2 of the story. And man, was this a really hype chapter. A character I did not expect to show up showed up. We actually get the Sins in this chapter. We get to see Gowther again for the first time in probably like 30-40 chapters. And we get the confirmation of how long it's been since the previous chapter in story. And we have a full-on time skip, guys, and I am just incredibly excited for where the story can go from this point forward. Before we get into the actual review, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel. It gets me motivated to make more. I also got channel memberships ongoing right now, so if you want to support the channel even more directly, become a channel member, and you'll get access to a lot of good perks like monthly videos, early access to videos, members-only polls, and members-only posts, as well as shoutouts as well. Now, that out of the way, let's get right into this very hyped chapter. And this chapter starts off with a full 2-page color spread of the 5 remaining members of the 7 Deadly Sins in full color, and I have to say, I just missed seeing all of these characters in one singular place. It just warms my heart to see these characters, and I think Nakaba knew it's time I showed you guys all the title characters from the previous series right here, right now, and what better way to do so than with the showing of a time skip. And the title of this chapter is Invasion. So, we cut to Leonis, which is being under siege by Arthur and his knights, especially the 4 evils, as we see a bunch of devastation on the battlegrounds. As Arthur says, "How long have we waited for this day? The day when I can finally end things with you, Deadly Sins." As we see all 5 of the 7 Deadly Sins, remaining members of the 7 Deadly Sins, getting ready to square off against Arthur. Meliodas, Spawn, King, Deanne, and Gowther. And something interesting happens that I did not expect. We get a brief instance of what seems like a clash at the top of Leonis Castle, which looks like Goddess Wings, so maybe Elizabeth joined in the fight as well, as we then cut to a bloodied up lance or spear with what looks like Bon on the ground with a gaping chest wound, seemingly dead on the ground. And before we get any time to process what the hell just happened, we instantly cut to Gowther waking up in bed, shouting, "Stop." That's right, what we saw at the very start of this chapter, these first 3 pages, was a premonition with Gowther's ability Kaleidoscope. This is an event that is supposed to happen in the near future, as Gowther is kind of obviously freaking out, saying that that future just cannot happen. It should never happen at all. Now really quick, Gowther gave us a premonition of Arthur facing the Sins at Leonis. Devastation and destruction in the main capital of Leonis, and he's facing off against the Sins. And based on that, it's heavily implied that Arthur might have won. However, a mysterious figure holding a spear in the shadows is towering over seemingly a dead Bon. And that is something to really consider, because through the spoilers and how some people have talked about it, there's speculation that this might have been Lancelot who did this to Bon. Or perhaps Lancelot showed up last minute to save his father. We just have no real clear indication of what this is. This is super, super vague. And that's also something that gets us very interested, because we know that we are going to have this confrontation between the Sins and Arthur at some point. But now there's the interpretation that they're seemingly going to be defeated or just killed in this confrontation. And perhaps someone of a third party is also responsible for killing Bon. It's just a lot to think about. And this is like the bomb under the table moment where we know this event is going to happen at some point, and we just don't know when this is going to occur and how all this is going to come into play. But moving on with the chapter, as Gowther gets up from bed, she is wondering where Lancelot is and what he's doing right now, as she goes out the tower and looks out the window into the town in the middle of Camelot. As we see citizens just having fun, they're smiling, as Gowther looks over the land, saying that it's beautiful. Bountiful green as far as the eye can see, smiling people, happy everywhere. And then as we get a 2-page spread showcasing this entire landscape that Arthur created from Camelot, we have her ask how much Britannian blood and tears needed to be shed for this. We then hard cut to some crows flying off as we see an area completely destroyed, with a full page showcasing we are confirmed 2 years later in Northern Britannia. We have a full 2-year time skip, and obviously we knew that there was going to be a time skip as Guinevere looks obviously older than she did in the previous section of the story. But now we're seeing just how much Britannia has suffered over the last 2 years. Because remember, post-Leonis, Meliodas had everybody shown what Arthur has been doing, as he has been slowly taking and stealing lands from Leonis, primarily just empty lots, most likely where old Camelot used to be, and using that to craft Camelot, the new Camelot. And now we see in these past 2 years, it has gotten so bad that large chunks of land have just been swiped and taken, homes destroyed, presumably lives are lost. As we then cut to the Chaos Knights just harassing a bunch of villagers, basically being like, hey, we want your land, why not come here and not make a fuss about it? They basically just want the land that they have here and want them to come along and be members and citizens of Camelot. But obviously, they're not having any of it. And this is actually, the person leading the charge here with the citizens is Mead. Remember Mead? Remember episode 2 of 7 Deadly Sins? The bratty kid that spoke up against the Holy Knights because they were being dicks? Well, he's an adult now, and he's kind of ripped. And now he's doing the exact same thing now. Only difference, these knights are obviously also kind of evil. But we revealed that 2 of the knights here are actually Ironside and Pelgard. As Ironside is like, look, we can't even have a helping hand. That's a pity. And Pelgard is just being like, look man, as a word of advice, instead of a fate worse than death, you're much better off just taking our offer and becoming a welcome citizen of Camelot. And I like how Ironside is like, you were always lenient like that, huh, Pel? Now, this shows that we know that Pelgard is a relatively kind person. He doesn't want to do all this obvious brutality or killing people or doing things against other people's will. He's a genuinely nice person. We've seen that with his interactions with Percival and the main group for the first half of Four Knights of the Apocalypse. So it makes sense that if he's doing something like this, he's being like, look man, I really, really don't want to do anything against your will. I don't want to do anything like this, but please, as a word of advice, just do what we're saying right now, because it's better than the alternative. But Mead's not listening, is like, yeah, I've had it with you, as he tries to fight back, but it's then blocked by one of the other Chaos Knights with a shield, and then they use a magical ability called Noise Explosion, as instantly Mead is then hit with a large clang, and it seems like his eardrums were burst. And this Magic Knight's ability, Echo, amplify sounds placed on him dozens of times over, and the echo just goes to the person's eardrums, shattering them. Reveals their name is Altaban, and they say, let me handle this. You 4 evils shouldn't have to lift a finger. But someone then begins to walk forward as he says, well, just don't make a noise then, huh? And obviously the knight's like, come on, how are you going to break through my armor without even making a little peep? As in 3 panels, we see a swift arm movement, and you can clearly see that this person's heart was ripped right out of their chest as the Chaos Knight collapses on the ground, dead. We all know who this is, but yeah, this person throws the heart of this Chaos Knight at Ironside, which Ironside then ends up taking out. As then Pelgard instantly recognizes who this is, as we all most likely have at this point, as he says, well, this is an honor. What's one of the legendary deadly sins doing here? I thought your job was done once you saved the world from the Demon Lord 18 years ago. As he proudly proclaims that we are now seeing Bon, the fox sin of greed, here in the flesh. And oh man, Nakaba, if you wanted to hype readers up, and if you wanted to bring back any sin next, this was probably one of the most requested ones. And obviously we know Bon's his favorite character, but Bon being back in the story is so hype right now. This is just incredible. Obviously we had the whole tease of him potentially being dead in the future, but having him appear in the exact same chapter, being ready to face off against 2 members of the 4 evils is honestly really cool. Ironside, now wasting a moment, is like, okay, why are you in a backwater town like this, by yourself? You should be too busy defending your own nations at this point. As he tries to land a blow on Bon, with his cross magic attack. But Ban is then hit with it, but Unscathed says, "And thanks to that, Britannia's been laid waste. Now, my nightly ale's nowhere near as satisfying." And if there's one thing outside of his family and friends that you should not mess with, it's Ban's ale. As the chapter then ends with Ban landing a big blow against Ironside using his sacred treasure. Ah, man, that is satisfying. How often have we all wanted, for the longest time, for Ironside to get hit in the face? We would have liked Percival to do it. Rest in peace, my good buddy. But Ban doing it is also incredibly epic and very satisfying. But yeah, that was the chapter. We got a 2-year time skip. Ban shows up. We get a premonition of a potential dark future where the Sins are seemingly taken out by Arthur or maybe a third party. And Guinevere is in the middle of town as she's wondering where Lancelot is. Very good chapter to open this up. However, this was also a bit of a ballsy move by Nakaba. Because from the shonen manga I've read and watched so far, whenever you get a time skip, normally you have most, if not all, the main casts, or at least the main character, show up in the first chapter of the time skip to show how they've changed. Now, obviously, Percival is gone, so somebody else is going to have to take the reins as the MC. It could be Lancelot, it could be Tristan, maybe even Gawain. Or maybe someone from Team Percival like An. We have no clue. So I feel like Nakaba is saving the 4 knights, their post-time skip designs, and how they've changed for a future chapter. So right now, I feel like with how things have started off, my prediction is most likely that we're going to focus on the Sins at the start of this time skip and then transition into seeing how the 4 knights are doing right now. Because, like I said in my predictions video, I do expect Percival to be gone for a little while and us to focus on the main cast before Percival's inevitable resurrection. I have a video coming out most likely by the weekend or next Tuesday on when and how Percival can be revived. I recorded it in advance, but it's taking some time to put it together, and I'm waiting on a really cool and epic thumbnail for you guys to be made. Trust me, you will like it. But man, this was a hype way to get reintroduced into the story with one of the main characters in the previous series showing up ready to wreck some shit and bust some heads. So this is also a good way to scale Ban to the 4 evils, primarily Pelgar and Ironside. And since Ban basically tanked the blow from Ironside right now, it's safe to say that at this current moment, Ban, who's not trying, maybe Ironside isn't going all out, but I'd have to say Ban is most likely definitely stronger than the 4 evils, so either way, fight is probably going to be very quick, very short, but also very cool to see, because it's been a long time since we've all seen Ban in action, and believe me, we all cannot wait to see Ban go on a bit of a rampage. But yeah, that was the chapter, relatively quick, and we had a lot of questions that needed to be answered. What's going to happen in the future? When is Guinevere's premonition going to come true? How are the rest of the knights going in this time skip? How did they deal with Percival's death? What's going on with the demon realm? What's going on with Leonis and the Fairy King's Forest and the rest of the Sins? So many questions and so many things to worry about, and I can't wait to find out. But what did you guys think? Leave your thoughts and opinions on this chapter in the comment section down below. What do you think is going on in Guinevere's future vision? How do you think the story is going to progress from this point forward? When will we see the rest of the Sins? And how and when will we see the rest of the 4 knights main cast show up? And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really does help, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, and it keeps me motivated to make more 4 knights content for you guys. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.